And we are live. My name is Terry Thompson. I am the host of Unbreakable Stories, and this is my co-host Bonnie. Bonnie, how are you doing tonight?
Doing really well, Terry. How are you?
Every day is Monday. I'm telling you, I almost want to wear my Every Day is Monday shirt on these streams right here just to have like a good laugh, but we'll continue wearing the Unbreakable shirt. Man, we got a truly phenomenal conversation here in store for everybody watching live and watching the replay here tonight, and it's all about how to refocus your life whenever you feel lost. Look, it's January 20th. Let me ask you a question. How are your New Year's resolutions going for you? That's a good one right there. Are you lost? Are you still on track? Are you off track? Not on track? Have you forgot about the resolutions that you made? Do you still feel kind of stuck? You're like, man, it's New Year, it's January 20th. And I still haven't done nothing. I'm stuck. I'm lost. I don't know what to do. Or are you at a point to where it's like, man, I had all these things. I took a whole bunch of action. Now I'm at a point just like, man, nothing's working. I need to pivot. I need to shift. I need to reassess things. I need to reevaluate things. I need to do something. And that's what we're going to dive in here tonight. So, Bonnie, I want to know your thoughts here on resolutions. I know I have my thoughts on resolutions because here it is. It's January 20th. People have probably already broken the resolutions or just never followed through on them. What are your thoughts on those resolutions around this time of the new year?
Yeah, so I think the biggest part of that is that people, just because there's so much hype about resolutions, and a lot of people don't really do their research, and it's exciting to jump on the trends and whatnot sometimes. And the word resolution is really about making a decision. It's not a goal. And some people interchange the word resolution with the word goal. And so I feel like the word gets tossed around fairly like loosely. Not that you should be tossing your goals around loosely either, but making a firm decision is different than having a goal in mind. Um, and in most people's minds. So yeah, I think it starts with the fact. I think if most people understood what the word resolution actually meant, they would make fewer of them, because it's really hard to make a lot of life altering decisions all at once and then stay committed to those decisions.
Yeah, I love
So
that. And for me, it's all about habits. I don't need more goals, wishes, hopes, dreams, all these different things that people go for. I want better habits, but I don't need all of them. And I think that's something that people get stuck on as well, too. It's like, man, I got all these things that I can do each and every day. Which one is important? Like, I just can't have all these habits, but at the end of it, what no longer serves you, you need to also learn how to let go as well too. So it's great that you can try all these things. It's like, man, it's the new year, new me. I'm going to go try this shake. I'm going to go try this juice. I'm going to try this hot drink. I'm going to lift 1,000 pounds at the gym and this, that, and the other. But at the end of that, you really have to clearly identify and assess and evaluate what's working for you, what's not working for you. What do you need to modify, tweak, or change, or just let go altogether? What
yeah,
have you let go
absolutely.
of so far? So it's in January 20th. Have you let go of some things already?
I actually did that process ahead of time. I don't remember how far ahead exactly I was thinking about doing that, but I spent some time probably in December thinking, like trying to figure out, maybe even earlier, trying to figure out like why I had so much success in one particular year, and then it kind of waned off as far as some of the different things that I'm reaching for, being consistent or getting health, whatever the case is. And 2020, actually, I've talked about this before, was really a year of surrender for me, but it all started with this declaration that I was going, and I say declaration very strongly, just like the word resolution for me. It was a decision that I was going back to basics and I was literally stripping my life of anything that was unnecessary. And starting with that and then figuring out what was going to come next. And so doing that opened me up to attract. I mean, I know 2020 was a really tough year for a lot of people, but I got to see a lot of opportunity and creative projects and whatnot in 2020. And I really believe it's because um, I cleared away a lot of the gunk and made room. And, you know, nature and the universe both abhor a vacuum. And so that stuff, it's going to get filled back up with something. But it helped propel me into some of the different things that I was doing. So I did the same thing. I started doing that in, I don't know, November, December. You and I have talked about some medical stuff I have coming up. And I knew that I didn't want the holidays to be stressful. And I didn't want to start off the new year feeling like I was floundering and then add medical stuff on top of that. So that was a lot. Hopefully that, you know.
Yeah, well, it makes me wonder what is 2023 the year of? So you said surrender for 2022. What is 2023?
Yeah, so 2020 was definitely surrender. 2021, I don't even remember what I chose. Last year was I didn't pick a word, but if I could just sum it up, was really a year of just healing and discovery. I let go of a lot of things that were unhealthy and really was working on my health intently. This year, I think we talked about this actually now that I'm thinking about it, and it was really just being.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have goals. I have it, and by saying that and by focusing on just being and not trying to force a bunch of stuff that I'm not really either interested in or quote unquote supposed to be doing. You and I talked about like just what's arisen in the past 3 days, like some pretty crazy, amazing plans that I now have that I wouldn't have been able to have had I not cleared out all the gunk beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I know for me, I struggle with having like a word for the year. You know, I remember when Evan Carmichael was interviewing me, he was like, "What's your one word?" And I was like, unbreakable." I was like, I didn't really know what to say. It was like change. You know, I was like stuck in between those words. So for me, I even struggle every year because I don't really have like, okay, here's the theme. But guess what? This year I actually had a theme. I actually had a theme this year. This year for me is all about increase. It truly is. It's all about increase. So you know my framework, AEIOU. And the number one thing that I have not done in the past that I'm going to increase this year is engagement. So it's a combination of both increase and engagement. I'm going to increase my engagement, and I've already done that. I've already increased my engagement across a lot of different platforms. I've gone on different podcasts. I've gotten into some, you know, into my platform, and I increased like courses and training and different things. I'm starting to learn new things and systems and this, that, and the other. So for me, it's all about increase. I've reached out and I've engaged on social media in a different way that I haven't done before. That's allowed me to gain different access to people. And I truly believe this year is all about increase because look, at the end of what we've talked about so far, we talk about hopes and goals and wishes and dreams and aspirations and all these different things. At the end of that, you must get to a point to where you are confident that you have it all together so that you can move forward in a more meaningful way in order to do things because you play small. I've played small. You know, the last 2 or 3 years, I've played tremendously small. Now I'm confident in what it is that I'm doing and I have things together. And we even talked about this as well, too. You say, Terry, you're spreading yourself too thin. Bonnie, you're spreading yourself too thin. You know, and it's one of those things to where we've had those types of conversations. But I think today hit a little bit different because when you and I had a conversation earlier today, I explained why I'm spreading myself too thin on certain things because I got a lot of crap that needs to get done. And the only way to do that is to spread myself kind of thin to get it done. But on the other side of spreading myself too thin is the action, the decision and the action to do the thing. Now that those building blocks are in place, now I can take action on this stuff because I've already been taking action. You already know me. I'm already a person of action. I'm going to do the thing no matter what. But Now I feel that I have those things together to where it's all going to work together. It's all going to work collectively. So for me, it's all about increasing engagement, increasing opportunities, because I've already created, or actually possibilities. I said that wrong. Possibilities, because I've already created the opportunities. Now I'm trying to create the possibilities.
Yeah, I love that. And um, yes, there's definitely a time and place for um, I don't want to say spreading yourself too thin because
Mhm.
too thin, but like there's a you can spread yourself wide, and this is going to sound terrible, but I'm going to say it was wide, and then there's deep. And so when you're building relationships, you can build lots of relationships that are really shallow,
Mhm.
or you can build fewer relationships and build them deeper, when more meaningful. Or you could kind of fall. There's different levels to each of those.
Mhm.
And so um, for me, I am definitely reaching out to more people, but with the intention of building more meaningful relationships.
Mhm.
And so uh, there's, to your point, sometimes there's the foundational piece where you do need to stretch yourself a little thinner than normal, grind it out for a little while, hustle for a period of time. What tends to happen with a lot of people is that they do that for too long, and then they're not being as productive. And like I said to you earlier today, it was funny because you and I had that conversation several months ago, and I actually had that conversation with somebody else that I know. Yeah, I love that. About uh, just being involved in so many different things that this person felt like I was hearing this comment about them not making progress or not getting traction in different areas. And so I brought it up, and I was like, then it dawned on me, it's like these conversations are a mirror. Like when we're noticing something in somebody else, there's a good possibility that it's something we need to address ourselves. And like you said, I realized um, if I want to do these different things well, I need to do fewer of them. And that's just where I'm at right now. And that's totally fine. So,
And one of our friends over on Facebook, Selma Hamza, says it's like giving yourself time to evolve. And I agree with that.
mhm.
100%. We might not necessarily have all the information or the resources, or we might not have everything together. But as we take action, as we learn, as we grow, as we develop, we're evolving. And as
Mhm.
we're evolving, we're improving those things along the way. At least we hope that we are. And then as we evolve, we're finding ourselves in different circles, in different skill sets, and it's an evolution. I love that. Selma, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for this wonderful comment, because it's we always talk about it's a process, it's a journey, but you know what, it's also an evolution. What are your thoughts, Bonnie?
Yeah, I think evolution is when you add growth to time.
Mm.
Like you can't evolve if you're not growing. Can't evolve without time. And so that really, I don't know what the technical definition of evolving, but in my mind, it's adding growth to time.
Mhm.
And also being okay, like you have to be okay with that change, that element of change.
Mhm.
And part of that is letting things go, trying new things. I mean, there's lots of different things that are wrapped up in that. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that it comes down to knowing yourself. And I think that knowing yourself and trusting yourself, because I know what I'm capable of. But that's also a dangerous thing too, knowing what I'm capable of. But oftentimes, what you're capable of and what you actually do are two completely different things. And I know myself, if I went full out and I did everything that I'm fully capable of, man, that would be dangerous, I think. So I think that really you have to come down to a point to where you're assessing things, you're evaluating things, you're analyzing things. And it's like, okay, here's the job, here's the task, here's the tool that I need to pull out for that specific thing. So as you're analyzing, as you're observing, as you're looking like, okay, here's what I can do. What is your process for taking action? Or how do you decide to take action, or which action, or not no action at all? I don't know.
I feel like that's like a whole.
It's a whole
master
different
class.
episode.
It's like a master class. Yeah, because I mean, okay, so here's how I simplify it for myself. So I'm in a space that I've never been in before. I'm learning how to navigate. There's systems in place for parts of it, but being online, looking for people and whatnot, and also not wanting to. I'm not trying to blast the internet and then pick out a couple of good people. Like I'm really being very intentional about the people that I'm connecting with on social media. And so it's been an evolution. There's been some processes that I was working with, and then I tweaked and I changed it. And for me right now, um, instead of trying to do all of the different pieces, I'm focused on meeting as many great people as I can, fostering those relationships, finding out if they're even interested in, being on or building a team. And then also creating not a database like stacking names or anything, but I have a notebook where it's like so and so does this, they're really interested in this, with the idea that I can connect people to each
Mhm.
other at some point. That's a big part of what I'm doing, but I'm really just hyper focused on meeting as many people as I can, quality people, and building relationships, because I know that that is sustainable through this phase I'm about to be in. um, I'm not overcommitting myself, and it's going to help get the momentum going. So I'm not sure if that's exactly the answer you were looking for, but right now it's like I'm reaching out to this many people, connecting to that many people, following up with that many people, messaging that, like there are some minimums that I follow every single day, but it's just
Mhm.
really all about written and verbal communication at this point.
Yeah, and I think that it comes down to a lot of expectation management as well too, and that's something that you and I have talked about quite a bit. And I think that's a two-way street. I think when it comes down to managing expectations, it's managing your own expectations and then managing expectations that others have for you. And that's where you really dive deep at, because oftentimes you don't know what others' expectations of you are. So it's like, well, I come here, I bought this thing, I got this thing, I didn't get what I expected, I want a refund immediately. Kind of a thing. So I think, and we've all seen that, we've experienced that. We was kind of having a conversation about that before we went live. It's like, I'm going to cancel this thing. This isn't what I expected. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't do this, or whatever the case may be. And it's one of those things that expectation management, I think, is a two-way street. What are your thoughts about expectation management?
Yeah, I mean, that's another one that has been part of my growth over the past few years, honestly. So besides like my immediate family and my kiddos, um, even not as much with my adult kiddos. Like how do I phrase this? Not that I don't have high expectations, like I don't think they're going to do well, but I don't place specific expectations, for example, on my adult children. How often should they call me? How often should they visit? Like, that's not how I operate. And it's the same way kind of when I go out in the world. Like if I send you on LinkedIn or a message on LinkedIn, for example, I'm not going to be ticked off if I don't hear from you for 3 days. Like I'm
Mhm.
not expecting to be your top priority. However, if we agree to be at a specific time or a place at a specific time, I expect courtesy and communication, where if you can't make it, you're going to let me know, of course, barring any emergency situations. Again, I'm not your first priority. Um, I've learned, and this isn't like, how do I explain this? I've learned not to place specific expectations on other people, um, for the most part. This is not foolproof, because it's not my job to dictate what it is they're supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
However, for myself, that's a completely different story. And I have definitely historically put unrealistic high expectations on myself in a lot of different situations, which is why I was really careful um, in December to make a decision about what I was and was not going to get involved in here in January until I get this other stuff worked out. Because I don't want to be overcommitting and then having to cancel a whole bunch of stuff, which is why I'm really focused on just relationship management, I guess is the best way to put that at this point.
Yeah, I love that. And then, when others feel lost, so like as a leader, and you're a leader within your industry and what it is that you're doing, whenever you have like a peer or one of your clients or somebody within your team that is struggling, like dude, you're lost. Like, how do you scoop that joker up? And because I know for me, I used to do something when I was in the military. We used to do what was called developmental counseling. And that was kind of a universal term, but you could really kind of counsel somebody on the spot, like on the spot counseling, hip pocket, training on the spot, type of a thing. And we used to always pull people off to the side all the time, like, hey, dude, you're really messing up, man. Like you're totally lost in the sauce. And here's what I see, and here's my recommendation. So whenever somebody has like lost their way, lost their focus, lost, like they're just totally not getting the concept or the idea or the point or whatever label you want to put on it, how do you approach somebody? Because I think that today, add a little bit more context to this. I think that today there are certain people that are just as hard as woodpecker lips. And then there's those people that are just soft as a cloud. And you really just have to kind of play that middle, or you just kind of pick or choose how you're going to approach that. So how do you approach refocusing somebody when they're lost? They're just completely gone.
Yeah. So I'm actually working through a situation kind of like that. Mm-hmm. And it's, for me, I'm fairly new at it in this sense, but for me, I ask people ahead of time. Like, there's part of our procedure, if you will, when we invite new people into, our team, where we flat out ask them, do you want strong leadership, or do you want weak leadership? Like, do you want somebody to breathe down your neck and tell you what you're supposed to be doing? And push you and encourage you, or do you want someone just to leave you to your own devices? Most people say that they want the strong leadership, that they're willing to be coachable, etc., etc. So it kind of gives you that permission, if you will, to bug the crap out of somebody in the beginning when they fall off the wagon. Obviously not if they're sick or hurt or something, but if they just stop showing up or, aren't coming to training, whatever. And sometimes you have to just realize that people need their space. They got in over their heads. They're not quite ready to commit in that way. And then focus your attention on the next person. Like, I will continuously follow up with people. But I'm not going to go above and beyond focusing my attention on a particular person if they're not responding or responsive, if you will. As far as like my kids and stuff, it's a little different. I have a tendency, especially if we're learning new concepts, it's kind of built into the way I do things, to explain something multiple different ways if necessary. And if that's still not working, then we just take a break. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just that we talked about this earlier today. Sometimes trying to force something to work just makes it even worse. And if you can just say, okay, let me walk away for this for a period of time, remove the resistance from it, it's like squirting some WD-40 on a hinge and letting it sit versus trying to freaking, jam on the door right away. Mm-hmm. So
I love that analogy, but I used to do what was called developmental counseling. So anytime that I seen that somebody was lost, they just, they were not completely focused. It was like, when you're coaching, teaching, training, mentoring, you're always going to get somebody that just gives you that deer in the headlight look. It's like, dude, you're lost. Like, you're just totally gone. Like you're not getting this. And I think that those are the people that you really need to watch out for, because whenever you're training someone, you're always going to have two types of people. Well,
Yeah.
you're going to have multiple types of people, but you're really going to have like two opposite extremes of people. You're going to have the alpha, the outspoken person, the extrovert, the person that's like, ooh, pick me, pick me. I know what's going on. I got this. And those are your beast mode people. Then you're going to have the people that are introverted. They play small. They're like, I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to do anything. I think I'm getting it, but I don't want to put myself out there. They play small. And those are the people that you have to watch out for, because those are the people that they could be dangerous. They might be able to take and pass the exam. They might be able to go out there and do the thing. But you know what? When you let that person go, I think that those people are going to be the ones that either do one of two things. They're either going to sink or they're going to swim. And
Yeah.
I've been in that situation. I've been in that situation. It's like, okay, they're tough guy. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to go out there and you're going to do this and this, the two hardest things that we have for you. Welcome to the job. You're either going to sink or you're going to swim. And I truly believe that those moments are really hard to deal with because you don't want to embarrass yourself. So you may be lost, but how do you refocus the team back into like, hey, I'm kind of lost. I don't know what I'm doing here. Can you coach me? Can you teach me? Can you train me? Can you give me a little bit more knowledge, skills, and experience? And I actually had somebody say that to me one time. I was like, dude, it's not my job to train you. You're trained. You're a leader. You're doing this. Go. Go make it happen. Fail fast, fail quickly, discover that, embarrass yourself. And I've done all of that. I've embarrassed myself, numerous times. I've even gone up there and I'm doing the work of the people, and as a leader, that can even be embarrassing depending on how you look at it and who you ask and this, that, and the other. And it's kind of one of those things. I was like, look, dude, man, at the end of the day, the job's got to get done. We're all a part of the same team, and we're going to do what it is that we have to do to get the thing done. But I used to counsel people, and that's how I refocused people whenever I felt as the leader that they were lost. And I said, here's what you're doing. Here's what you need to be doing. And here's my plan of action. Or even better yet, I want you to tell me what your plan of action is. And then as your leader, I'm going to hold you accountable for what you said you were going to do. So that's kind of how I used to do it. I was like, I'm not going to give you the plan of action. I want you to tell me what you're going to do, and that's going to be your plan of action. And then I might kind of assist you with modifying, tweaking, or changing that based off of my knowledge, skills, and experience. And then a month later, I'm going to circle back around to that. Well, last month you said you were going to. What did you do? Well, let's dive into that. You did this, you didn't do that. Nobody did that. And it's kind of one of those things. So developmental counseling, I think, is truly powerful. And I don't think that it happens often enough, especially within the business world, the corporate world, the team world, the entrepreneur world, if you will. And if you ever have a team member that's just totally lost in the sauce, that's how you refocus them. You develop them, you counsel them, you coach them, teach them, train them, mentor them, whatever label you want to put on it. For me, it was developmental counseling. And I truly think that one, it holds accountability to the leader because you must follow up every single month. And it holds accountability to the junior leader, client, customer, whatever label you want to put on that. And I think that creates a duality within accountability, plan of action, and then it keeps everybody on track, on task, on target. You're paying attention to the growth, the development, the action, the things that are getting done, things that are not getting done, the strengths, the weaknesses, all the above. So I think that developmental counseling is a weakness out there within every aspect of leadership and business and culture, whatever label you want to put on that. And I think that if we did more developmental counseling and made it more interpersonal, personal or interpersonal, I'm not quite sure which one, but I think maybe personal could be the right word. I truly believe that you could develop better people, better leaders.
Yeah, there's a lot to dig into with that. But I agree. I think where I've seen the most trouble, and this is myself included, um, is people thinking they have to have all of the answers before they can lead somebody else. And that's simply not the case. And it's human nature. I mean, I think you've got two very distinct personalities. You've got people who think they know everything and can do anything with anyone all the time. And then you've kind of got other people who Well, I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about because, like you said, you don't want to embarrass yourself. You don't want to say the wrong thing. There's all of these different, um, human traits that feelings that we don't want to, emotions that we don't want to feel and that we're avoiding, feeling negative in any way. And so, um, I definitely see the benefit in coaching, mentoring, teaching. They all have their place, they all have their function. And if your goal is to build a successful team, I believe that there's got to be is in um, elements of that built into your system, basically. Yeah, I just sorry the question. I mean, yeah, I would say don't force it. Like if there comes a point in time where whatever you're doing, if they truly don't understand what's going on and are willing to keep at it, send them to somebody else, see if another leader can help out. Maybe they have a different approach that you're not doing, or people respond differently to different people. So, but if the person's not willing to be coached and you don't want to force it, like you can't force somebody to learn or to do something. And I wouldn't want to be in this situation. Like I force my kids to clean up after themselves, but that's a little different. I'm not going to force somebody to perform in a team setting. It's you either want to be here or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion.
Yeah. And for me, here's what I think about that. So Selma, first of all, great question, by the way, Selma. Thank you so much. So when a person is not responding to coaching, I truly believe that as the leader, you're not really focusing on what's in it for them. I truly believe that, because at the end of the day, people will only do what it is that they feel that they believe in. And whenever you have not clearly established goals or outcomes or desires, and more importantly, you've worked with the person to build a sense of worth within them and value within them, and you're helping them get what they want, they're not going to help you get what you want. And I think that's that duality within coaching right there, because if you know and understand a lot about the person that you're coaching, you can really dig into their values and the things that they want, need, and desire. And you can position things to where they will want to do things versus have to do things. And I think that when you create the situation of empowering people to want to do things, then they won't feel as though they have to do things, and it won't be forced. Bonnie, any additional thoughts?
Yeah, I love that. Those are definitely great ideas. I really feel like there's also a lot of variables depending on who and what situation. And like, I mean, we're dealing with people in the military. It's a very different environment
Oh, they was going to do it. They had no
than
choice.
being in a preschool or a
Yeah.
daycare setting, or
Yeah.
building a team of people who are volunteering, like they want to, well, volunteers is another good example, or kind of like the situation we have where we're helping
All
people
I'm told.
build their own businesses. And it comes to a point where, like, I can't want this more for you than you want it for you.
Mm.
And when you want it for you and you're ready to follow this system, great. I'm happy to help you with that. But until then, like, you just can't. I'm not in the business of forcing or convincing people to do things. Again, unless it's trying to get my kids to clean up their room or get out the door on time for school, which you must put your shoes on. That's all there is to it.
And language has a lot to do with that. So I think that whenever you position things in such a way to where they are empowered to do things, once again, it goes back to, I want to do this. And I used to put things in such a way to where they wanted to do the thing. It wasn't necessarily a matter of like, you have to do this thing, but at the end of the day, you have to do this thing. This is what I want you to do. And this is really the best advice. So what I used to do is I mean, once again, this was when I was in the military. I was like, well, you don't really have to do that thing if you don't want to, but here's the thing that you're going to do if you don't want to do that. So once again, it goes back to the story. If you've ever heard me share a story, I feared the consequences of something more than I feared the action. And I think that when you fear the consequence more than you fear the action, you will take action. because the consequences are much worse. And I think that whenever you position things in such a way to where the consequences are significantly much worse than the action. Now, of course, that doesn't work for everybody, and you can't do that all the time, because at the end of that, if somebody feels or believes that there's no consequence, they're not going to trust you. They're not going to believe you. Like, well, you haven't done anything yet. There's no consequence. You keep throwing this threat out there, and now that threat becomes an empty threat, and then it's no longer a consequence. It's an empty threat. And then the person won't trust you. They won't believe you. They won't take the action because, like, oh, you ain't going to do anything. I'm not worried about you. And then next thing you know, that person is going to stomp all over you. So I think that once again, it comes down to empowering people to want to do things and then put them in charge. I used to do that a lot. I was like, look, dude, you're in charge. This is a task. You're in charge. I want you to control the thing. You don't have to do the thing, but I'm going to give you all of the resources that you need in order to get the thing done. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and flip the script, and I'm going to rotate who's in charge. So it's like, now you're in charge. Ooh, that's where it got tricky, because now everybody on the team knew and understood what it was like to be in different positions on the team. So then they started respecting each other. They're like, ooh, if I'm in charge, I don't want to upset so-and-so, because when that person becomes in charge, I got to remember that, because remember, what you do and what you take action on, it will come back to you full circle. So I used to respect my team members 100%, because I used to do this role reversal where it was like, all right, here we go, men. Today, you're in charge. I work for you. Keep in mind, I'm still the boss. I'm still the leader. And that's going to come back to get you if you do any crazy stuff. But I want you to learn. I want you to grow. I want you to develop. I want you to see things from a different perspective. I used to rotate tasks on my team. So that way, everybody on the team understood what everybody on the team did. They respected it. And then when you were told to go do something that wasn't necessarily your job, but yet it was a task that needed to get done, you respected that, because then you understood what somebody else had to deal with. And I think that once you understand what other people are dealing with, you're not going to complain about what it is that you have to do, especially when it's your turn to do that thing. So there's a lot to unpack with that. I mean, we may have to save that for a different kind of a conversation here, but I truly believe that, you know, when you empower people to want to do things, they oftentimes will not feel like they have to do things.
Yeah, I definitely, in all cases, err on the side of encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's just to continue to supply that, and until it gets to a point where it's not that I'm not typically one who likes to criticize. There's definitely, critique if it's asked for in certain situations. I'm not going to say that I'm perfect. My kids will hop on here and be laughing, but like, yes, she does. I'm not perfect. But the point is, I err on the side of encouragement. There are some situations where things absolutely need to be getting done within a specific time frame. I do like what you said about the basically empty threats. It's a good thing for parents, especially young parents, to learn early on.
Mm-hmm.
That follow through is super, super important on the positive and the negative side, because if you're not following through with the things you say you're going to do, positively, like just in general, whether you're a parent or a team leader or what, like people lose their trust in you. It's the fastest way to lose people's trust. And so, yeah, definitely multiple different conversations we could have out of this. I think we kind of started here and went, over here somewhere, which is fine.
It's a great conversation. I mean,
Yeah.
once again, there's a multitude of topics and things that we can talk about. But before we close here tonight, I want to kind of cover one last thing. We briefly hinted on it earlier, and that's the power of letting go. I truly believe that when you're able to let things go, those things will no longer weigh you down, because I think that whenever you're stressed, whenever you're anxious, whenever all of that, you're stuck, you're afraid to take action. I think it's due to the heavy baggage that you have on your shoulder or your back. And and it's one of those things that can take a toll on yourself. It can take a toll on a team. It can take a toll on a company, an organization, whatever label you want to put on it. So tell me, what's the best way to let something go to where it still serves you and it still serves the team?
To let something go. Um, so, wow. I mean, I would have to say that it depends on what specifically we're talking about letting go, because there's multiple different answers to that. But for me, recently, letting go of commitments, things, that I placed on myself, um, was just knowing that like none of this was fatal or had to be permanent, that it was okay to pause things and come back to them if and when I decided that that's what I wanted or needed to do.
Mhm.
Uh, and that helps with a lot of people. There's a term for this, I don't remember what it is, but there's a specific type of guilt where you've invested so much time or money or whatever into a project, a person, a thing, and that is the reason you're not letting go of whatever it is. Um, and for me, I've looked at it as like time served. Like I got a specific result out of whatever. And I didn't used to be able to do this. I was definitely somebody who held on to like every little bit of everything. And I'm still working on some of that behavior in general. But uh, it's um, not feeling like you wasted your time, wasted your money, wasted your effort, and come away from it knowing that the experience itself, you know, had its own value.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. And it comes back down to what no longer serves you must go. If it's not serving you, if it's not serving the team. And I think that comes down to taking inventory every single month, taking inventory of resources, taking inventory of like actions, taking inventory of like certain things. And you can do that weekly, daily, weekly, monthly, annually, whatever the case may be. So I know I do that in a lot of different things where I'm constantly taking inventory of like the things, like what do we need to keep, what's no longer serving us, what's doing well, what's not doing so well, what can we, if we can keep, if we it's not doing well but we probably can keep it, what do we need to modify, tweak, or change. And I think that once you have a system within place within anything that you do, you can stay focused on the most important thing. For me, I call it the bottom line up front. You can stay focused on the bottom line up front or most important thing each and every single day, and you'll work the mess out of your systems. At the end of the day, I've got a process. I've got a system every single day that I work. I call it the bottom line up front. You have your systems in place. You've got your calendars. You've got, all your notifications. You got all these different ways in which you do. I even do that on my phone. I'll set a notification on my phone and it'll go off as an alarm, as a reminder. Get up, go work out, go upstairs, go do something. And we learned that from Brendan Burchard. He said, or set an alarm, do all these different things, and it serves you. But what does not serve you, you must let go. And sometimes it's hard to let go because it's that story that you're telling yourself inside that's like, ooh, this is important. It means something. I want to hold on to it. Maybe it'll serve me. Maybe it won't, this, that, and the other. And I got that. We all have things within our toolkit that we can pull out at a moment's notice. But at the end of that, you really got to let go of the garbage, the things that are weighing you down. And here's the reason why that's important. The reason why that's important, because you cannot fill up what you do not have room for. You can't do that. You can't fill up what you do not have room for. So sometimes you must let things go so that you can make room for other things. And you will never learn. You will never grow. You will never be able to go to that next level if you're not letting go of the things that are no longer serving you, so that you can make room for different knowledge, different skills, different experiences, different tools, if you will, that you can pull out at a moment's notice. So that way you can use it accordingly or appropriately, for that matter. So if you're ever lost, you ever lost, or you need to get refocused, sometimes all you have to do is just let things go and understand that, hey, if it's no longer serving me, it's not going to serve anybody else as well too. Because if I'm down, I'm no good to myself, and I'm also no good to nobody else either. keep that in mind. So Bonnie, final thoughts here tonight before we close up.
Yeah, definitely love what you're saying about, making space. We talked about that earlier today, and it's something that I intend to put into part of my not my daily routine necessarily, but a regular part of my process. Um, and because I saw the effects of that, and that's part of what sparked this conversation today, is I saw the effects of that earlier this week, where when I gave myself the time, the room, and also very clear focus on the activities that I was going to do this week, um, it opened up space for creative energy to move around. And I told you about some really exciting stuff that I'm working on. Had this idea that hatched like 3 days ago, and it's like taken a life of its own already. I can't talk about it publicly yet, but at some point. But at that, I don't believe I wasn't leaving room before to have the creative juices. And I'm a fairly creative person. Like I thrive on creativity and just making things and whatnot. But for a while there, I was so focused on the things I felt I had to be doing that I wasn't leaving space for the things that I wanted to be doing. Um, and so, yeah, taking that inventory, at the end of last year and being committed to removing a lot of unnecessary stuff from my life. I don't miss any of it yet. So there's that. And some of it I also realized that I was already integrating in some of my other actions and just who I am. So I didn't need to have a separate, entity set up for it, so to speak. Yeah, it's make room, like clear. Winter is a really great time to clear the dead weight. I mean, that's literally what nature does itself um, throughout the winter season. I know here in this hemisphere, I'm not the geography expert, but I know on the other side of the world somewhere they're like in summer right now, so it's kind of the opposite. But here, winter is the time to clear dead weight and just reevaluate what you're working on.
Yeah, I love that. And our good friend and unbreakable family member, Alay Faber, says his main strategy is to focus on micro wins. Sometimes just getting to the coffee machine is all you can do to start the day. And I agree with that. Those micro wins are really important. Celebrate those, because I often think that, people do not give themselves enough credit for the things that they do. We always focus on the things that's either not happening, the negativity. And it took me a long time to get past that. It truly did. It took me a super long time to really stop focusing on the negative, because I learned that when I was in the military. You always focus on the negative because that negative is a threat. I always was taught to look at the threats. And it was one of those things to where I never really celebrated the small things, the small wins, the little things that mattered the most. And it's also something, and that's where attention to detail comes in. So we have this little concept called attention to detail. It's the small things that really matter most, because I'm not worried about the big things. Those things are going to happen. I know that. I'm not paying attention to those big things. It's the little things that matter the most, those little micro things that tend to kind of sneak up on us and get to us and hurt us. But at the same token, at the opposite end of that, it's those small wins that also mean the most. So celebrate that. I always tell people, counsel in private, but celebrate in public, reward in public, notify in public, kind of a thing, or let other people know the success in public. And I think that if you really want to keep your team focused and you don't want to cause any dissension within the ranks, if you will, because I'm telling you, if you really publicly embarrass somebody, they will not want to follow you. You will lose that person 100%. So that's the reason why I say counsel in private, reward in public. And I think that whenever you reward in public, you really inspire people to want to continue taking action, no matter how big or small or positive that thing is, reward that, because it's the little things that really motivates people to continue to want to take action. But at the end of that, if you reward just the smallest of things, then everybody's going to be like, well, gosh, Bonnie got a cookie. How come I didn't get a cookie? And it's one of those things that you're really going to kind of cause an issue with that. So there's a fine line between that. But at the end of that, there's the standard. What is the standard? What is your standard? And if your standards are high, people are going to work to achieve the standard, because here's the thing. You will literally hit every target that's too low. But if you raise the bar just a little bit, people are going to struggle. They're going to want to reach that. And if you create a sense of competition around that, people are going to compete for that. They want that honor. They want that, that visibility. They want that public recognition. And they're once again, there's the people that are the alphas, the beast motors, and then there's the introverts that play small. They'll never achieve the trophy. They'll never achieve the public recognition. But that's where you as the leader need to understand. You need to observe. You need to analyze. You need to figure out, like, okay, who needs a pick me up? Who needs a lift me up? Remember, it's not always about you. It truly is not. It's truly not always about you. Sometimes you have to kind of step outside of that and celebrate those little wins, those little micro wins, even from, the new person on the team. I'm telling you, you want the best way to get somebody's attention that just joined the team, give them a victory right away. Set that standard and then watch them just kind of go. Because it's the person that gets on the team that feels lost, that has no clue what's going on. Those are the ones that can usually either leave or no longer serve the team or be a valuable member of the team. So you increase their self-worth by identifying things that they're doing that are going well, things that needs improvement, and continue that process. So we have some other comments here as well, too. Before we go, I want to make sure that we get through some of these comments here. So Selma, one of our friends over on Facebook, sometimes we don't want to let go because we think that we've lost a lot, resources, time, energy, but we need to remind ourselves that we've definitely learned from it. So it's not really a loss. Great point, Selma. That's a fantastic point right there. I believe in failure. I try to fail fast as often as I possibly can, because it helps me get to the plan of action, a lot quicker as well too. And I truly, not that I want to fail, but I'd rather fail than, wondering what it is that I did wrong. Because once again, earlier we said what you encourage, you empower, but what you do not challenge does not change. And I truly believe that whenever you fail and you fail fast, you will understand what that change is, and you can kind of continue to take action on that. All right. So we have a few other comments here within the chat tonight. And I greatly appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Bonnie, I know we said last words, but did you want to kind of touch on anything else before we close?
No, I don't think so. I'm grateful for that that this is relatable. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're, aiming it to serve. And so I'm glad that, what we're talking about is landing. I don't expect people to agree with us all the time, obviously, but I'm glad it's landing. It's making sense. Even if it's creating, healthy debate somewhere. I can't see the comments until you put them on the screen. So at this point, but yeah, I'm glad that it's helpful.
I love that. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here tonight. We've had several friends that joined us here within the chat, across YouTube and over on a couple of Facebook pages here. Just want to say thank you so much for being here. But before we go, I just want to let you know, we have a printout here that if you print this printout and share it across social media, it would greatly mean a lot to us, and we'll share that as well too. So right here we have the I Am Unbreakable printout that Miss Bonnie here created. It's a truly phenomenal printout. So if you print this out right here and you share it on social media, follow us on social media, you will be able to tag us as well too, and use the hashtag #MyUnbreakableStory. So that lets us know that you have shared your support to us here at Unbreakable Stories at unbreakablestories.com. We will reshare that. You may find your picture on our website or shared across our social media as well too. So I just want to say thank you beforehand in advance for those of you who have already printed it out and those that are going to print it out and share it across social media. Once again, if you head over to our website, unbreakablestories.com/share, unbreakablestories.com/share. That's where you can print that out. You'll see all the details where you can print it out. You can, follow us on social media, and all the instructions are right there. Also, while you're there, if you love these shirts right here, I love these shirts, by the way. I have quite a few of these shirts. Bonnie is actually my t-shirt designer. She makes all of my shirts, my Everyday is Monday shirt, Changemaker shirt, Unbreakable. She does everything. I'm telling you, she is truly a phenomenal designer when it comes to making apparel that makes a statement. And if you want to make a statement, then definitely get connected to Bonnie, because I'm telling you, Bonnie can create you some truly comfortable, just absolutely just hug, snuggle, comfortable shirts, right? That you can go out into public and be proud to wear and make an absolute statement. So if you want to share with the world that you are unbreakable, head on over to our website, unbreakablestories.com. Get yourself one of these unbreakable t-shirts. And if you want to get connected with Bonnie, get connected with her on her social media as well too. Send us a message. Hey, I got a shirt that I want made. She'll make you a shirt. She'll get you. She's a truly phenomenal designer. I just want everybody to know that. But man, I'm telling you, Bonnie, great discussion here tonight. I think you opened my eye to a couple of different things. And I'm excited about what we're working on and what we have coming up here within the future. More to follow on that one, but we'll share more as we're moving forward. But I believe, Bonnie, I think you wanted to share something here tonight before we do close about moving forward.
Yeah.
So we're going to shift over to Clubhouse and do some different things, but I'll let Bonnie kind of take the show on that one.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty much a family here, but just a heads up that I'm having some stuff done and some procedures taken care of, and I'm not exactly sure of the timing yet. And so in an effort to stay more consistent with the content that we're bringing you all, video is not going to be the ideal method of delivery for me for a while. And so we're going to focus our efforts more on Clubhouse. We're not disappearing. We're just probably not going to be, if you don't see us next Friday or the Friday after, don't be too surprised or alarmed. Or we might be here the next 2 weeks and then not for a while. We haven't figured that out yet. I'm kind of in limbo because I'm waiting to hear, from the powers that be exactly when this is going to happen. So yeah, I'd love to have everyone's support over in our Clubhouse room. I think we're talking about doing a few mornings a week, or not. I think we were talking about doing a few mornings a week over there, and just keeping the conversations going. We talked about the fact that we really love that we can interact with lots of different people very quickly in a group setting, over there, the way Clubhouse is set up. So if you don't have a Clubhouse app and you're looking to stick with us, please download the Clubhouse app and find us at Unbreakable Stories. I'm taking Terry's job right now, being the internet. I'm just kidding. Back to you, Terry.
I love it. And I know that we have a few friends that are ready to step in as well too. So that's something that Bonnie and I, we did discuss. And I know that we have some Unbreakable family members that's in the chat that's ready to step in and join in on the show. And we've definitely considered that as well too. So our friends that are in the chat watching us here, we love you guys 100%. And we're definitely going to take you up on that offer as well too. And there may be an opportunity there. So focusing over on Clubhouse, I think that, we're able to reach different people differently across different platforms. We want to be able to meet you where you are. So, taking a step back from video and focusing on audio, I think gives us that opportunity. So once again, if you're on Clubhouse, we are, we have the Unbreakable Stories Club. We have 34,000 members over on Clubhouse. So man, there's a lot going on over there. We can open up a room, have a great conversation, and give some value, give you the stage to where you can ask questions and get your questions answered right there on the spot. So great conversation tonight. Friends that joined us in the chat, thank you so much across Facebook, YouTube. I just want to say thank you. We cannot do this without you showing up here, showing your support and being a part of the Unbreakable family. So on behalf of all of our friends that watched us tonight, thank you. Thank you so much. And Bonnie, we'll see you next time. Hang out. We're going to have a chat here in a minute. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great night.